These videos will make you question everything. So remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's check it out.
These beings came from this planet that's described as Nibiru, and that they have manipulated human DNA forever. Zecharia Sitchin, he wrote these books. It was all about these ancient Sumerians. One of the weirdest things about it is, like, these people had these clay tablets that had like a detailed map of the solar system. 6,000 years ago, they carved it in clay. And they also had these giant beings with like people with tails sitting on their lap. And they had the double helix of the DNA, and he interpreted all this as this was some sort of an ancient recording, like where they were trying to record what had happened. He had transcribed the Sumerian text, and he believed that the history of the people from Sumer, what they were trying to relay was that human beings were the product of accelerated evolution, and that beings called the Anunnaki, those from heaven to earth came, and that these beings came from this planet that's described as Nibiru, and that they have manipulated human DNA forever. Zecharia Sitchin, he wrote these books. It was all about the...
Hey TikTok, thought you guys might find this really interesting. This is an 800-year-old artifact found near Babylonia, Sumeria, of a cell phone. It looks like a Nokia phone, as pictured here, from 2001. Some people say Nokia is unbreakable, which is kind of funny. Imagine these cell phones, the technology and the design actually came from thousands of years ago. The symbols that are on the buttons are recognized as an ancient language. This ancient language is known as cuneiform, which is Sumerian Babylonian, and although it's not known what's written on the phone, many people know that all of our technology, knowledge, math, sciences, and writing came from Sumeria, and they claim that the Anunnaki, people who come from the stars, brought this information down. What do you guys think? Take care.
So who was the cell phone subscriber back then? You know what I mean? Where did they pay their bill, or cell phone towers or stuff like that? You know what I mean? Now, there has been some information and some things come out that make people think that they might have had something similar to a cell phone back then, but...
Anybody else starting to feel like we jumped into a different timeline? Because things are not adding up. Like, has anybody else noticed the days are starting to go by way faster than they used to? And Picasso was alive at the same time as Charles Darwin and the rapper Eminem. Even our organs are changing places in our body. Like our hearts used to be on the left side of our body. Everybody knows this. In cartoons, you would get hit or shot in the heart, you would die. But now all of a sudden, our hearts are located in the center of our chests? Not in my timeline. And I remember distinctly there was a robber emoji, like a robber. Where did it go? Oh, and you remember the song with Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal? Well, the lyrics in my timeline went, you've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. Now it goes, you've been hit by, you've been hit by, you've been hit by, you've been hit by a smooth criminal. When did he say hit twice? And Pikachu used to have black on his tail. I'm not making this up. Pikachu used to have black on his tail, and I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Chick-fil-A never had a K. Never. It used to be C-H-I-C, and then the rest of it. It never used to have a K. And I know you guys remember this one. Snow White, it used to be mirror, mirror on the wall. Now all of a sudden it's magic mirror on the wall.
Magic mirror on the wall.
No.
Who is the fairest one?
No. And even back to the thing where he spoke about with the heart. Even that. Think about it. When you said the Pledge of Allegiance in school, where did you place your hand? Exactly. You didn't place your hand here in the center of your chest. Well, maybe some of you defiant kids did, just not wanting to go along with what you're supposed to do. But most of us did this, and we stood at attention. That's why people believe in reptilians, right there. Right there, there's the reason.
3-mile-long spacecraft. How long has it been there? How old might it be?
There have been guesses tossed around that it might be 1 million years old, might have been 100 million years old.
In the big 3-mile-long cigar-shaped ship, and then you went back and got her and brought her to the lander to bring back to the Earth as well as the Gray's Head.
That's correct. Rutledge went back. I remained in the lander. When we returned, Rutledge said he was going to go get the woman pilot. He did. It looked sophisticated, so I do tend to believe that she had some kind of a computer attached to her skin, and they were very visible.
Were they all over her body?
No, but the thighs, portions of her sides and back, perhaps as much as 30% of her skin surface, patterns, tattoos, yeah. The tattoos or patterns were probably a computer. It could be that their technology had circuits and chips that were so thin and so small that they would simply look like coloring on the skin. What I saw was an extremely well-preserved person. If they had died on the earth, you would swear that they hadn't been dead for more than several weeks and kept fairly well preserved during those several weeks. It was amazing.
Talk about the colors and the pattern shapes.
Well, they look like circuit patterns. They would form right angles. Several 2-3 lines would go together, and then 2-3 lines would suddenly make a 90-degree turn. It looked computer-like, it really did.
Beautiful Polynesian-looking preserved female in one of the cockpit chairs.
Her skin was all intact. A dress of some sort, possibly a jumpsuit, being very much intact. No deterioration to speak of.
What about those tubes on her face were controlling from her mind this huge 3-mile-long craft, and she was the pilot?
A whole panel that looks like you put your hands on it. And apparently the controls, the ship's computer, interface directly with the pilot.
People who have confirmed for me they've had their own hands in those panels from 47. There were 6 fingers on those particular beads.
And now John Levine continues with what he and Commander Rutledge found in the 3-mile-long ancient craft.
What are your thoughts on this video? Please.
Well, as we did Virgin of the Rocks, we always notice the dramatic hand pose as a way out of, is that giving us a hint about where to put the reflective plane? So we're in a 3D environment here. Whenever we want, we just make a little duplicate. Closer.
Reptilian humanoid bodies were disclosed during a public hearing on UFOs on Tuesday, September 12th in Mexico. Jaime Maussan presented what he referred to as non-human bodies and humanoid reptilian due to their characteristics. Laboratory analyses affirm that it is a complete body, meaning all the cells in the body belong to it alone. It is not a collection of sediments from other bodies. Some of the bodies found have a metallic implant. 85% high-purity copper and other metals, including osmium, discovered by humans only in 1803, and currently used in the construction of satellites and telecommunications. Moreover, in the bodies found, one of them appeared to be in gestation. Spectrometry examination showed that the material was organic and actually consisted of ovoid formations, that is, embryos a few weeks into gestation. Then, from tomographies, a recreation was made, and the development of the embryos was compared to the development of a human embryo. And the images are chilling to anyone. The research on the bodies was conducted by UNAM, and some developments and research were carried out jointly with the University of St. Petersburg in Russia. The presenter made it clear, we are not talking about fiction, we are talking about science.
I'm sure you've seen a handful of ancient Egyptian statues over the years, and I'm sure you've become used to seeing most of them with broken noses. Of course, you might be wondering, why is that? This has caused some people to speculate about a conspiracy to hide the identity of ancient Egyptians. So was it done deliberately, or is there some other explanation to this? That is what we are going to talk about in this video. Ancient Egypt was a powerful empire that lasted thousands of years, and they created some of the world's most majestic sculptures and buildings, which most have miraculously made it to the present day. But when it comes to most of ancient Egyptian statues, people point out to the missing nose or some parts of the face missing. This has caused some people to think that it was done deliberately by foreigners invading the country centuries ago. So some pointers here. While I was researching for this video, I realized that there isn't enough research done on the topic, which is quite weird, right? Because this is one of the most debated topics among Africans and Europeans for some time now. Africans are saying ancient Egyptians were Africans, pointing to the statues as part of their evidence, while some Europeans are saying Africans couldn't have built one of the most sophisticated empires in history, which I find to be absurd. So let's look at the arguments some people make as to why some of the statues have broken noses. First, they believe that some statues were reused in the past during the Roman Empire. What you have to understand is that in ancient Egypt, statues were held in high standard because they believed that the spirit of a pharaoh can move into the statue and accept offerings, something they didn't play around with. So it might be possible that some of the statues were reused in the past when they were no longer needed. But there's one problem to this. What's a small chunk of limestone from a statue's nose going to do in a building structure while the whole statue is still in place? The second is natural erosion could be the cause of some statues missing their nose. Of course, most statues were made from limestone, which are soft stones that are liable to erode when exposed to weather conditions.
And you could possibly believe that or take that into account if it was maybe one or two, but to have so many in the same spot has me a bit more skeptical.
But some of the statues were built using sandstones, which are very resistant to weather conditions. Plus the whole bust survived and not the nose. I know some of you will argue that the nose is the easiest part to break off, and you might be right, but one look at these statues will give you a feeling that it didn't break off, but it was chiseled off instead. The third argument is one that I find plausible. The damage was done deliberately to change the appearance of the statue. This happened even during the golden age of ancient Egypt. Later pharaohs tried to put their names on old statues, claiming it to be theirs. But even with that, it's not enough reason to find statues of non-pharaohs who have their statues missing a nose. So the question we should be asking is, how do we know who damaged the nose of these statues? And if you love the video so far, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. There are stories of Napoleon ordering his soldiers to fire on the Sphinx in Giza in order to destroy the nose, but that has no historical facts backing it. And it also doesn't explain the smaller statues found years after Napoleon's death. So how do we get our answer? First, we need to look at how ancient Egyptians understood the concept of afterlife. When a pharaoh dies, they believed that their spirit goes on to live and rule in the afterlife. So keeping a perfect statue of the pharaoh in the physical world is essential to keep his spirit form intact. Any damage to the statue will compromise the spirit of the pharaoh, which meant that other pharaohs can take advantage of this belief system. A clear example is in the case of Hatshepsut and Thutmose III. After Thutmose III came to power after years of Hatshepsut claiming to be a pharaoh, he defaced many of her statues to compromise her afterlife. So we stand to reason that other pharaohs did the same to their predecessors. Secondly, most of the statues are thousands of years old, so it's normal to have some wear and tear on some of them. And during the 1st century CE, when ancient Egyptians were converting to other religions, most of the statues of the gods and pharaohs were defaced because they believed that they were still a threat to their newfound religion. But why target the nose? It's simple. The nose is the source of breath in this life and the next. So damaging the nose is the easiest way to kill the spirit. In other words, disconnecting from the ancient past. So how do we know who damaged the nose of these statues? It's safe to say politics and religion played a major role in this.
And that kind of goes along with them in their theories of the afterlife and how serious they were about the afterlife. Why do you think they put gold or offerings or different things, animals, that whatever they could possibly offer to the gods that can, you know what I mean, help them in the afterlife? So this makes sense too. If there's a pro, there's also going to be a negative side to it. And it's going to be, okay, we don't feel like you need to be whatever in the afterlife. So we're going to try to make sure you know, we destroy the nose to make sure you don't have it have a good or be receptive of you in the afterlife. So we're going to damage your nose and we're going to do different things. They probably did more than that. I think they probably would have done even more to make sure that, you know, things were bad and doom and gloom for you in the afterlife.
In the heart of Ethiopia, a long-lost tribe named the Somali Afar, rumored to have extraterrestrial ties, resided in seclusion, guarding ancient knowledge and forging a mystical connection with the cosmos. Whispers of their rituals and celestial wisdom echoed through the ages, captivating the imagination of those who sought to unveil the secrets concealed.
Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs. For the first time, radar images recorded inside a Navy ship have confirmed the presence of several unknown objects that swarmed around the ship for hours. I-Team reporter George Knapp here with a story that broke today on Mystery Wire.
Thanks, Brian. Over the past 3 years or so, the public has been able to see several astounding images of what certainly qualify as UFOs during encounters with the U.S. Navy. There's no question that the Pentagon has censored data to go along with the photos and videos, but none of that information has been leaked or otherwise released. That is, until today.
For 2 long hours on the night of July 15, 2019, the crew of the USS Omaha detected on multiple sensor systems unknown objects that surrounded the ship as it moved through ocean waters west of San Diego. One of the objects, a self-illuminated sphere at least 6 feet in diameter, flew alongside the Omaha for an extended period and was observed through a thermal sensor in the ship's combat center. Filmmaker Jeremy Corbell released the Navy video weeks ago and says similar events were reported by 8 other Navy ships in the same area over 3 days.
Mark, bearing range. There was numerous warships that are having similar it appears to be coordinated interaction, and this whole series was within this kind of, I'd say, circumference of 100 miles, and there was up to 50 to 100 contacts.
In the last 3 years, the Pentagon has reluctantly confirmed the legitimacy of UFO images captured by Navy ships and air crews, including these photos taken off the coast of Virginia and the better-known videos, the so-called Tic Tac incident and the gimbal. But other than the images themselves, there's been no release of censored data to buttress these cases. There is now.
Well, if you can write a general lat long where we're at, and the number of contacts you got, of course, the speed meters on them.
Over a period of hours, crew members on the USS Omaha, which is located in the center of this radar screen, monitored the approach of the unknown objects, as many as 14 at one point, all around the ship. 2 different radar systems watched the objects and estimated their speed.
Track 781 just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots, closing in. 38 knots, so that one's pretty much perfectly 000 relative, right? Yeah.
Corbell obtained the images from sources he declined.
How does Corbell always be at the center of this? Have y'all noticed that?
To identify. The Pentagon's UAP task force considers the Omaha spheres to be true unknowns. The ships that were under observation by the unknowns were unable to track where they came from or where they disappeared to. The Omaha sphere appears to have vanished into the ocean.
What was splashed?
At that point, it also vanished from all sensors. In one video snippet, 9 of the objects were seen around the Omaha, but 2 of them dropped off, somehow invisible to 2 radar systems.
And it supports the hypothesis that these are not just a balloon dropping into the water, or it's not something that is easily explained. These are true unidentifieds in mass number, and we'll talk more about that, but that's what we're showing people, where you have radar data that goes with FLIR data, what everybody has been belly aching for. So here you go.
If these are foreign-made high-tech drones, how do they fly with no wings, rotors, or detectable exhaust? Do they possess some sort of cloaking ability? The sensor data, combined with the video images, raises difficult questions.
These are unidentified. We don't know what they are. Everybody tries to corner me in saying they're aliens or something like this. I have no idea.
Maintain track as best you can.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
The video of the radar.
All right, so a lot of you have been asking for a translation video of that UFO incident that happened in Nevada in the backyard, and I finally got the translation together, and you're gonna see what happened and what they're talking about, and you're gonna be pretty surprised in what they actually saw. So check it out, and I'll respond more at the end.
Ora me che canti sparit le gallenghe alla chorsi hora così. Ai! Profesor! Carmunarela me canzile variso. Kailo cerro che ci dico. Kailo cerro. Kailo.
Allora parlalo.
Ui ci dai. Ci dico.
Agladel così vare. Agladel parol.
Ci dico.
Parol che io ti libri a cacabare. Una cacabare agladel.
Kai cerro.
Adelo diles.
Firmi sale.
Ecco, sai lo che camiona, adelo.
Kai,
Agladel te so.
Firmisar, porque canto la mañana, cerro que Carmunarela me.
Diles, eso son los trayendo para acá.
Kai.
Anda el camión, los conchadicas del camión. Era segundo, de izquierda para acá, de cables.
Kai, cerro, ci dico la del.
Hacer concha cortelo, concha chisitelo.
Kai, tu forklift o camión.
Siento muy. Te para lo que te quedó con la.
Now, he clearly responds to her and tells her it's in the forklift. Now, I don't know if there was a mistake with the actual size. The younger guy said they were 8 to 10 feet tall. Right. And there's no way you're gonna get in that cab of that forklift. You could see the way it's all covered up and everything, because those are the ones that have heat, and they probably do have air conditioning for when you're working in the summer or you're working in the winter like that, you could stay warm or cool. So the aliens had to have been smaller than that. They had to have been at least 6.5 feet tall, or maybe 6'5" or so, because I'm going to guarantee you those forklifts are not going to be comfortable for somebody to be 7 feet tall in them. I know, I've been in those forklifts before. I've used those kind of forklifts before, and I know there's no way you're going to fit a 8 to 10 foot tall being in there unless they have some kind of capability and they can shrink themselves down. Could be, you never know. Like I said before, I never saw anything in the forklift. I know a lot of you were saying there is an alien inside the forklifts. I did not see any alien inside the forklift, so I have to stick to that. Like I said, I did all kinds of rendering. I put the pictures through black and white. I changed the color composition, all that kind of stuff, and I never saw anything. But if he said something was in there, maybe it was in there, and when they snapped the picture, it got out. That could have been the case as well. So, for all you that were saying there's something in the forklift, obviously he said there was something in the forklift, but there's no way, again, I'm going to repeat, there's no way an 8-foot or a 10-foot alien could fit in there. Right, so let me know your opinion on the translation and what they saw.
I think that's interesting. He shows up here out of nowhere after all of this stuff has been talked about for so long. He gives a translation. But at the same time, he says, like everybody else did, when they showed the video, they kind of enhanced the light or some kind of way to show you that it was something in the vehicle. But he said he's done it and he can't get nothing. So now it kind of goes back to kind of throw salt on their theories and everything like that and kind of discredits it a little bit. And sometimes I feel like they plant people to do that. Not saying this dude is planted here, but oftentimes it feels like they do that to kind of steer the narrative. Just my thoughts on it. You know, all of a sudden somebody comes out and just does this and says, no, there's nobody in there. And they start spitting out their facts about, y'all said it was 8 foot. It's no possible way due to the size of this cab of this forklift.
Did you see it?
I see it. It's so scary.
Did you see it land?
No, I didn't see it land until you said something.
Oh my God, it just like shot straight down. What is that?
Like, how does it? I don't understand. It's actually really scary how close it is. And think about how big that is if we can see it.
I don't. It's really freaking me out. Like, my heart is pounding. If you would have seen the way it moved.
I wish I would have.
It made me want to throw up. I don't understand what it is.
I mean, I think we both know what it is.
I mean, what if, like, they just started talking about it in the government, and now all of a sudden, like, they're just gonna freaking land here like that?
I mean, I feel like maybe they feel like it's okay.
That thing is like the size of a football field.
It has to be bigger than that. There's no way we can see a football field in this one. It's huge.
It's so, like, I don't know if you can see on the camera, it's like super shiny. It, like, is reflecting the sun like crazy. I swear, like, it was like went across and straight down, like right into that position. Is anybody in Vegas seeing this right now? Like, that's on the west, in the mountains out in the west. Like, which way is Area 51?
Not that way.
Is it the other way?
Yeah, well, I think it's down more south. I'm sorry, north.
Oh my god, it is really freaking out. Like, don't suck me up by the chest, just like a little ladder down.
We'll absolutely come up.
I'm gonna zip around the galaxy with you. Yo, is this real? Is anybody seeing this in Vegas? Please let us know. So freaking wild.
I never thought I'd see something like that.
Like, are we really gonna hear about this in the news? Other people have got to be seeing this. It's so bright.
Yeah. There's no way. There's no way other people aren't.
It's so cool. And scary.
It's so scary. I can't believe this is real life.
Look at the size of it, like, compared to the mountain, like that mountaintop. It's like, that is huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
I hope it, like, goes up again, because I can't even... I'm telling you, the way it just shot straight down into that position, like, it landed perfectly.
How did it not mess up the mountain? I guess maybe they have a landing gear, right? Like, it did crash, I guess. Huh?
I love that you're calling it Bay.
Right, across the
You're so sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I feel like freaking hearing you say that, like, so confidently, like... Wow.
I feel like they would have heard us by now if they were going to.
They're here.
They're here.